What do you see when you hear Western Washington? Perhaps the area's pristine wilderness and majestic mountains come to mind, or maybe you visualize the modern Seattle skyline. These images are what we like to imagine when we're asked to think about the region. Did you see hunger? I'm willing to bet not. For many of us, hunger is something we imagine plaguing people on distant continents, not in our own communities. As these images show, though, we need to open our eyes to the plight of many of our neighbors. Every day, people throughout Western Washington deal with food insecurity. In fact, 350 Western Washington residents receive food assistance every year. While the recession and slow recovery have led to a 25% increase in the demand for food assistance, food banks are struggling to meet the need. Western Washington food banks report that donations of food and money are as much as 31% lower this year than they have been in the past. The shortage of resources for Seattle food banks even drew the attention of Mayor Mike McGinn, who responded by making a public plea to city residents to donate. The plight of these Western Washington residents who go hungry every year is the focus of this social media campaign. Western Washington is not lacking emergency food providers. In the city of Seattle and King County, there are more than 58 neighborhood food banks. Instead, since food banks are struggling to meet residents' needs, donations of food, money, and time are what is missing. Barriers to donation and volunteering are well documented. Brian Herbst from the nonprofit organization Project Volunteers explains.
One of the biggest reasons why people don't volunteer is because A, they don't know where to go, or B, they don't really know if they're going to make a difference.
We have created a comprehensive social media strategy that is designed to help users overcome both of these barriers to participation. The primary focus for our campaign are likely volunteers in the Western Washington region. Traditionally, these have been people from the baby boomer and Generation X age groups. By focusing our efforts on a variety of social media platforms, we are also targeting potential volunteers from the millennial age group, who are overrepresented on most social media platforms. We chose to use a variety of tools to grab the attention of potential volunteers and donors. The End Hunger Western Washington website is the cornerstone of our social media campaign. The website serves as an information hub where Western Washington residents who are concerned about food insecurity can find information about how to get involved in their local community. By acting as a one-stop shop for information about ending hunger in the region, the site helps visitors overcome HERP's first barrier to action. The blog section of the End Hunger Western Washington website is dedicated to sharing the stories of both food bank donors and volunteers and food bank beneficiaries. The most recent blog post features a reflection written by one of our colleagues who has recently benefited from the food and clothing offered at a local food bank. Stories like these prove that food banks do play an important role in supporting Western Washington residents and demonstrate the real impact that food bank volunteers and donors can have on their communities. In this way, the site helps to overcome the second barrier to action that Herbst identifies. End Hunger Western Washington's YouTube channel was designed to attract YouTube users to the organization as well as to provide information and inspirational videos to those who are already affiliated. The channel currently contains 2 example playlists. Art to End Hunger is regularly updated with inspirational music, poetry, and other artistic expressions, while Food Bank Spotlight gathers videos that introduce food banks in Western Washington. The videos in this playlist will connect viewers to the organizations working in their neighborhoods. End Hunger Western Washington's presence on Waywire allows the organization to curate and share videos on its playlist, or Wire. More importantly, though, is that Waywire is designed specifically to enable easy uploading and sharing of videos from smartphones and personal video recorders. While these home videos may lack professional polish, they draw viewers in by telling authentic, real-world stories. Despite the increasing popularity of video sharing platforms, the old adage, a picture is worth 1,000 words, still stands. The End Hunger Western Washington's Flickr account will enable the organization to post and share their photographs. Photos shared on a site like Flickr are another tool the organization can use to attract new supporters. Port Angeles Flickr users' curiosity might be piqued when they notice a picture of a lineup outside the food bank intermixed with the typical ocean views, for example. While audio and visual content are necessary elements of social media strategies aimed at getting the public's attention, platforms like Flickr and Waywire cannot compete with text-based social media giants either in terms of registered users or in capacity to foster social connections. In light of this, End Hunger Western Washington has created a Twitter account to publicize their blog content and to stay abreast of what food banks and organizations working to end hunger are doing both in the area and across the country. We have also started an End Hunger Western Washington Facebook page so that the organization can begin to get their name out on Western Washington's most widely used social media platform. In order to manage content on all of these platforms, we have created an editorial calendar. The calendar will include a schedule of regular content updates such as monthly personal story or interviews posted to the website's blog, or adding a regular video update to the YouTube channel. By scheduling regular content updates, the organization is providing an incentive for viewers to return to the site regularly. The calendar will also provide a means to keep track of the many events held across Western Washington to raise awareness about food insecurity. While grabbing the attention of potential food bank volunteers and donors is a good first step, our social media strategy goes beyond attracting attention to developing engaged users. The Tell Us Your Story section of the End Hunger Western Washington website gives blog readers a chance to share their stories on the blog. Readers simply submit a story once it has been cleared. It will be queued up to be published as part of the monthly personal story feature. Providing space where blog readers can also become co-content creators enables them to engage more fully with the blog and with the organization. Another aspect of our strategy to encourage engagement involves monitoring the conversations about food banks, food insecurity, and End Hunger Western Washington that are taking place on social media. To be an effective part of the emergency food provider community, End Hunger Western Washington must listen to what members of that community are saying and attempt to engage in dialogue. In order to better track these web conversations, we have set up Google Alerts and a Hootsuite dashboard. Staying abreast of food bank blog posts and tweets will enable End Hunger Western Washington to engage with potential supporters on platforms that they are already using. The ultimate goal of all these social media activities is to encourage people in Western Washington to take action to help end hunger in the region. The Get Involved section of the End Hunger Western Washington webpage describes easy ways for people to get involved with their local food banks. The section includes information about the donations and volunteering, as well as a map of Western Washington food banks. The purpose of this section is to make getting involved easy no matter where in Western Washington a user lives. In addition to volunteering and donating, we list tips for ways that users can get involved simply by sharing information about food banks in their areas with friends or with their social network. The End Hunger Western Washington Pinterest presence that we created is also geared specifically towards getting users to take action. All of the boards contain pins that link directly to food bank sites where users can learn more about donating or volunteering. Again, our purpose is to simplify contributing as much as possible. The Donate Time to Local Food Banks board is a good example. Would-be volunteers can use this board to find information about volunteer opportunities at a number of local food banks, all in one place. Gauging the impact of social media campaigns is notoriously difficult. This is particularly true for End Hunger Western Washington, since it is a third-party intermediary. In spite of this, there are some indicators we can track to measure our performance. On Pinterest, we can track the number of followers, repins, and likes, while on Facebook, we can track fans, likes, and posts. Similarly, Twitter allows us to easily monitor followers, mentions, and retweets. The Weebly platform on which the End Hunger Western Washington site is located tracks a number of site metrics including page views, unique visitors, top pages, and referral statistics. Together, all of these metrics will provide a more comprehensive picture about whether the organization is getting its message out. We will also be able to use these metrics to tweak our strategy based on what is working best. Finally, we will reach out to local food banks to attempt to discover whether our efforts seem to be making an impact on their donations or volunteer numbers. While the phrase Western Washington may not have caused you to think of hunger when you started this video, we hope that from now on, when you hear those words, you will not only think about hunger, but will reflect upon what you can do to end it. Thank you for watching.